Hi, Krishna. I'm very happy to be with you, and this evening I will present the second session of a seminar. Yesterday, in the home program, I presented the first part. This is the second part. The first part is recorded, so you can have the link in case you want to see the first part. But each part separate has its value. And I know most of you are practitioners of bhakti, right? We try to become devotees of Krishna, and that means we follow the instruction of the spiritual master and try to purify our heart. But the spiritual principles for purification of the heart, we can also learn from nature. Before I continue, this is the introduction. I will pray to Srila Prabhupada and the previous acharyas for their mercy, so that I can tell you something which will be useful and practical in your spiritual life. Om Jnana-Timandasya Jnana Shakam Sakshuram Vitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namo. Shri Chaitanya Manukishtam Staptam Yena Bhutalishvam Uttadamyam Dadati Svam Padantikam Vandeham Shri Shri Udapadkamam Shri Gum Vaishnavam Shri Upam Jagajatam Sakam Ragnatam Tam Tam Sachivam Sadvaitam Savdutam Paritana Saitam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Saganalita Shakam Pitam Shah Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jyapate Gopesha Kopakam Taran Namaste Tapta Kansana Kamulangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sutadevi Pranamam Kripe Pavanka Kauta Vishankripa Simbe Vishapadam Pavanabhyo Vaishnavyo Namo Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasa Goma Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharya Nitya Bhakti Paskachayita Satarne Srila Prabhupada Ki. So this presentation is based on a story, a history, which has been told by Krishna to Uddhava in the 11th canto. Krishna is going to leave this world, and there are sages in the Himalayas that in Badarika who wanted the association of Krishna, but Krishna had to withdraw his pastimes. So therefore, he asked Uddhava, because Uddhava is a very confidential associate of Krishna. And he came to Krishna and said, you are going to disappear from this world. Please take me with you to the spiritual world. And but Krishna said, yes, but first I have some service for you. I want you to take sannyas and go to the Himalayas and give the sages of Badarika who wanted my association, give them a message. And that message is called the Uddhava Gita. And in the beginning of that message, Krishna speaks about King Yadu. Krishna has been born in the dynasty of Yadu dynasty, right? So it's the dynasty coming from King Yadu. And it's a whole story of King Yadu in the 9th canto, we find the details there if you want to hear more about this famous king. But this king found a liberated person in his kingdom, wandering, a liberated person. How does he know that he's a liberated person? A liberated person has his symptoms. Arjuna is asking about that in the 2nd chapter of Bhagavad Gita. He's asking Krishna, please tell me what are the symptoms of a stita prajna, one who is situated steadily in transcendence. And Krishna speaks after that so many verses explaining the qualities of one in transcendence. And he is asking also in the 14th chapter, 3 modes of material nature, there is asking, Arjuna is asking Krishna, please tell me about the symptoms of one who has transcended the modes of nature. And Krishna speaks a few verses with list of so many symptoms. So King Yadu saw this liberated person. This liberated person, it's mentioned by our acharyas, is factually Dattatreya, an incarnation of Krishna, Dattatreya. But he plays that role, that Dattatreya. And he said, yeah, I became liberated because I've learned from 24 gurus. And so yesterday we discussed the first of these gurus, and that was the earth. He learned from the earth tolerance, and he learned from the trees how to be merciful, only giving and not protesting, only serving. And yes, he learned from the sun, from the moon, we discussed yesterday. But today we will hear what he learned from the universe. So I have some notes here that I will use. So we have here the slides from visual. So I think this is, yeah, okay. So although sometimes this universe may seem to be very far away from Krishna, actually this universe is all this energy and it's working under his direction. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:10, Maya Dakshana Prakriti Chuchache Chachacham. This material nature and all moving and non-moving living entities, they are under my control, my direction. That means nothing in this universe is happening by chance. Everything is under the control of Krishna, and nothing happens without his sanction. This means that everything in the universe is happening for a purpose. That there's a purpose. We see in nature a clear relationship between structure and function. From the organelles within the cells of our body to the structure of the universe, everything is designed for a purpose. And the ultimate purpose is for us. What is that purpose? That purpose is for us to learn who we are. And that's the ultimate purpose for us. So this universe we can see as an educational institute. Krishna is the superintendent, he's the headmaster And we are the students. Like when you enter a classroom, especially the elementary school, that there are so many things, like there are blocks we see, there are toys, models, art supplies, things are brightly colored and neatly organized. It looks like a place to play, but actually every item in the room is meant for learning. It's meant for learning. So this world is a big classroom with so many colorful things in it, so shapes and sizes. And we may think that everything here is for our enjoyment, but actually it's all for our instruction. That if a child goes to school thinking he's going to play all day as he likes, the child may get in trouble. But if it engages with the items in the school under the guidance of the teacher for learning, he will also enjoy so much, and he will be rewarded for his good behavior and a much more satisfied and productive experience. So the more we are open to the guidance of spiritually advanced personalities, like our yogi from Srimad Bhagavatam, Dattatreya, here, this liberated person, that so he helps us to see the things of the world for our education and improvement. The more satisfying and rewarding our experience in this world will be. So today we are looking at the universe in a few of its aspects. We will look at the sun, the moon, and the oceans. So we have here the sun. Meditate on the qualities of the sun. So if we are a sincere spiritual seeker and we want to serve Krishna nicely, we want to advance spiritually and develop these spiritual qualities, then we can meditate on what can we learn for the sun, which spiritual qualities can we develop from learning from the sun. So, please, let me know, what do you think? Yes?
Warmth.
Warmth.
Yeah, be warm to others.
Okay, can be warm to others. Yeah, the sun is warm. Oh. It's good. Yes?
Consistency?
Consistency, yes. The sun goes up, comes up and sets. Well, but the sun is always there, of course. But it always very consistent, giving energy for millions of years. That's consistent. Great service.
It illuminates the way.
It illuminates the way. Yeah, it gives us light. Light brings it out of darkness. Anything else you can learn from this one? Yeah.
It changes as per the time of the day.
Please.
It changes as per the time of the day.
It changes. It moves. Yeah, we see that the sun moves. Okay, it's not always in one place. That good. So, what does that all mean for our spiritual life? So Dattatreya, he points out two main lessons from the sun. Two lessons. The first is, when you receive, you should always give back. How does he come to that conclusion? So he says in Srimad Bhagavatam Just as the sun evaporates large quantities of water by its potent rays and later return the sun to the earth in the form of rain, similarly, a saintly person accepts all types of material objects with his material senses, and at the appropriate time, when the proper person has approached him to request them, he returns such material objects. Thus, both in accepting and giving up the object of the senses is not entangled. So that means we must receive things to use in Krishna's service, and we give it back to Krishna. And we don't are attached. That's an important lesson in our lives, because we need, in spiritual life, means becoming attached to Krishna. If you are attached to somewhere, to something else, then you become entangled. That's heavy. We have so many attachments, but we should only have one attachment in spiritual life, to Krishna. So we accept objects of Krishna under our care to give it back to Krishna in service, to use it in service. It's an important principle. It's like here, the ecology. The sun evaporates the snow at the top of the mountain. It comes down, enters a lake, and goes into the groundwater and goes back to the ocean, and there it evaporates again. That it forms clouds. The clouds go back to the mountain and fall again, and the water falls again. It's a whole circle. The water does not stay in one place. It's moved by the power of the sun, because it evaporates it and then gives it again to the earth, to the clouds. So that's one lesson that Atreya learned, that the second lesson, come to the second lesson. The second lesson is the sun, like the sun, the soul is never divided or changed. The sun is always the sun, cannot be changed. The soul cannot be changed, but the body changes. So this is what Krishna tells to Uddhav, about Dattatreya, what he learned. Even when reflected in various objects, so the sun is never divided, nor does it merge into its reflection. Only those with dull brains would consider the sun in this way. Similarly, although the soul is reflected through different material bodies, the soul remains undivided and non-material. So the soul is reflected through the body. The soul is the source of consciousness, and that consciousness, it pervades the subtle body and the gross body. But it comes from the soul, that consciousness, and that soul, this consciousness, does not change. The body changes. So in our meditations, we all thought of different qualities of the sun now, and different lessons we learn from that. And we came up with different ideas, right? It means we are individuals. We are all in different stages on the spiritual path. And therefore, we can learn different things according to the stages we are in. Notice that Dattatreya is a a sannyasi, a renunciant, and he's traveling alone, trying to detach himself from worldly entanglements, to become liberated. So many of his lessons have to do with detachment, renunciation. But we have also our lessons to learn. As long as we are sincerely seeking the truth, we will see what we need to see. And there is really no wrong answer in that regard. Just we need to make sure to set a pure intention, and everything will follow that. What is that pure intention? We want a pure heart. We want to please Krishna and serve out of love without asking something in return. And we want to do that always. That's the pure intention. We want to use always our body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna. So that's our first meditation, the sun. But of course, there are other meditations possible that may be helpful. I have here another one. Like the sun creates the fog because it first evaporates from the land, and then at night, when the water vapor cools, it condenses and forms fog. And that fog makes it so that you can't see the landscape clearly. But the same sun, when it rises in the morning, melts away the fog, and all the details of the landscape become clearly visible. So that means we can theoretically understand I'm not this body. That's nice. And we can understand I'm a pure eternal soul within the body, and I have an eternal relationship with Krishna. But just understanding that may not help. There's still the fog over the land. So it means our relationship with Krishna is hidden under many layers of false ego, material consciousness. But just as the sun creates the fog, we create our own problems in this world due to ignorance, polluted consciousness, whereby I falsely think I'm this body, I'm American, I'm European, but we are man, woman, and so on. But we are actually pure spirit soul. And we are passing to many bodies. And we have nothing to do with them. We can't even remember what we did in our previous body. But who am I really? That's very foggy. But just as the sun, when it rises in the morning, melts away the fog and reveals everything, I can also dissipate my own ignorance by seriously practicing the process of bhakti, especially the chanting of Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. So this mantra is a very powerful spiritual sound vibration and it can dissipate my own ignorance by seriously practicing the devotional service. It purifies our polluted consciousness, the chanting of Hare Krishna. And it removes the fog so that we can understand who we really we can understand our spiritual identity, our eternal spiritual form, and our eternal relationship with Krishna. The sun creates the fog and melts it away. Similarly, we create our own problems in the world. By our choices, we become conditioned. But if we properly use our free will, we can revive our spiritual consciousness, our spiritual nature. So our next goal will be the moon. The moon. That's the moon. That's the moon. Yeah. So what can we learn from the moon? What can we learn? What will help us on our spirit, in our spiritual practice? But nothing to learn from the moon. Yeah.
It reflects the sun.
It reflects the sun. And how will that help us spiritually?
Maybe act like the sun did, or taking the sun's energy. Just be loving, maybe. You're going to be like the sun.
Reflects the sun. That our heart reflects, or we reflects what is in our heart. That then, so we have to be careful to be spiritually situated. Okay. Yes.
Stays with us in the darkest time.
It stays with us in the darkest time. Yeah, it dissipates the darkness of the night. Yeah, that our night is our material consciousness. That's the spiritual practice. Thinking of Krishna in the mind dissipates the darkness in our heart. But how is the moon different from the sun? We heard already. It reflects light. That's a good point. So the moon comes at night and gives light in darkness. And that light is cooling, soothing. That it's not overpowering. So I was thinking, the sun is very difficult to look at, right? But the moon is gentle and soothing, and we can gaze at it for a long time. So I would like, we could also try to be a light in the dark and give relief to people by giving them spiritual knowledge. It's just one idea. But let's see, what did Dattatreya pick up from the moon? It's something quite different. We will see. Here, that these are different stages of the moon. Full moon, dark moon, half moon. So that is what he learned. That the various phases of one's material life, beginning with birth and culminating in death, are all properties of the body and do not affect the soul. Just as the apparent waxing and waning of the moon does not affect the moon itself, such changes are enforced by the imperceptible movements of time. So our body changes. So it means in the same way our bodies are born, they go, from infancy, childhood, adolescence, adulthood, middle age, old age, and death, just like the moon goes to its phases. But the soul within the body remains the same thing through all these eternal changes. That's what he learned from the moon. So we should, Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, be a dhira, tolerate all these changes and fix yourself in spiritual consciousness. Man mana, fix your mind on me. And these changes must come. Krishna says one who takes birth has to die. But one who dies takes birth. So the body changes. But we remain the same. So we should be concerned with the soul. And act as a soul, live as a soul in our relationship with Krishna. And that's an eternal relationship. Everything else will come to an end, like it came to an end in previous life and the life before. We don't remember. Okay. So that's the second lesson. The moon. The next is the ocean. That many of us surely have been at the ocean. What do you like at the ocean? That don't like the ocean. Yes.
The sound of the waves is relaxing.
Sound of the waves, relaxing. Oh, relaxing therapy. Thank you. Good. And
All this being in its limits.
it's within its limits of the ocean. Yeah.
Waves comes and go back.
Comes and go back. Yeah. The tide. Yes.
The ocean is very deep, so similarly, in our spiritual life, we should go very deep.
We should go very deep. Yeah. Deeper and deeper in our meditation on Krishna. Yes.
And the Gita, Krishna mentions the steadiness of the great reservoir.
The steadiness, yeah. Verse 270. As all rivers enter into the ocean is not disturbed by all these rivers entering into it. By that, a devotee should not be disturbed by all these material desires that pop up into the mind. Just let them go. It's not disturbed. Yes, there was someone there. Yeah. Yes.
Doesn't keep anything with it. It's a no attachment.
Yeah, it comes and goes, the waves, and no attachment. Yes, that. Now, let's see what Dattatreya learned from it. That, so the first lesson he learned here is a saint's external behavior is happy, pleasing, whereas internally they are grave and thoughtful. It is very difficult to understand the mind of a self-realized soul who has given up material life based on lust and greed and dedicated themselves to the absolute truth. So, yes, it means that even though A self-realized soul is very deep and thoughtful. They don't necessarily go around looking serious and grave all the time. Internally, they are very serious, but simultaneously their external behavior is friendly and jovial. So like the ocean, the pure devotee is unfathomable, but at the same time, a pleasure to be with. We cannot perceive the deepness of the consciousness of the pure devotees. But if we are with them, we become affected by them. That in a good sense. But that's one lesson he learned. There's also a second lesson he learned. So here, the second lesson he learned. This is from Srimad Bhagavatam 11.8.6. During the rainy seasons, the river carried tons of water into the ocean. And during the dry summer, they bring very little. Yet the ocean level remains the same. In the same way, a saintly devotee whose goal is spiritual remains equipoised in prosperity and poverty. A self-realized soul has such deep knowledge that even in times of crisis, they do not lose control. Being connected to the unshakable, unlimited absolute truth, they are not shaken by the changes of this relative world. In a slight different way, Krishna also compares the mind to the self-realized soul to the ocean. We just spoke about it, verse from Bhagavad Gita. A person who is not disturbed by the incessant flow of desires that enters like river into the ocean, which is ever filled but is always still, can alone achieve peace, and not a man who strives to satisfy thus his desires. So that means, what does it mean? We have all so many material desires that they pop up into the mind. Where do these desires in the mind come from? Please tell me why these desires appear into the mind. Yes? This one.
Enjoy.
We want to enjoy. The body wants to enjoy. We think we are the body, we want to enjoy. So material desires coming from ourselves, yeah? Coming from the soul. The soul wants to enjoy, and because it's bewildered, thinks that he or she is the body. It's one source, yes. Actually, desires come from 3 sources, and maybe more. But first, in previous lives, we had so many material desires. What happened in previous lives? We try to fulfill these desires. But what happens when you try to fulfill a desire? Material desire. Dayati visyapum samsangit tishbachayati sangasanyati kamakamakodhi vijayati. You meditate on something, you want to enjoy it. And lust enters your system. Yes, I want to enjoy it. But then when the enjoying comes, it's not what expected. And and one becomes frustrated. So it's never fulfilled his material desires, never. Christus says, dus brennen allenacha. You want always more and more, never satisfied. So when you die, these material desires are still unsatisfied. And we forget them. But Krishna in the heart is not. He knows your material, everything you tried in previous life. So Krishna, not all of a sudden, but now and then it pops up in your mind a material desire that comes up. That because Krishna thinks he tried to satisfy it in previous life. It didn't work out. So here it is again, you can try again. But then there are two ways of reaction. The reaction of a devotee who has already made some spiritual advancement, and you have the reaction of a conditioned soul. A conditioned soul thinks, I'm the body, I'm the mind, I'm my thinking, feeling, willing. So that's my desire. And he thinks, Eureka, good idea. Let's go for it. And he runs after the desire. And he thinks, this time it will work. But it doesn't work. The devotee is different. He is like these rivers who are coming into the ocean, and the ocean is not disturbed. Rivers, if you come at the confluence or the point where the river comes into the ocean, it's quite with force is coming into the ocean is not disturbed. So the devotee sees that material desire pop up in his mind. The first thing is, he knows I'm not a mind. So he becomes the observer. He thinks, what is this? Oh, it's the material desire. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, we should not act according to material desire. That's not good. So he said, the desire pops up and he leaves it there. He's not disturbed by it, he just leaves it and it disappears. That's the difference. That's where these material desires, most material desires come from our previous lives. Of course, there are also desires we cultivated in this life. And then we say, I want to enjoy. Okay, that's another source. But even if it comes from this life, it comes that the soul desires it, then still Krishna knows it first, because he brings it in our mind, because its mind is material nature, he controls it. But, so that's the second source of material desires. The third source is the environment. If you're coming in an environment where they do a lot of simple activities, drinking alcohol and prostitution, your mind becomes weakened by material desires enter your heart, your mind. That's the three sources of material desires. But this example here is very important for us to make spiritual advancement. If you don't follow regulative principles, that is our tapasya. A yogi follows tapasya. Follow the four regulative principles is tapasya, austerity. So we don't eat meat, fish, eggs. We don't take intoxications. no interest in sex life, and thus for children. No gambling. Because if you do these things, your heart becomes polluted with lust, anger, and greed. It becomes polluted. And what is the effect of this lust, anger, and greed? You identify with the mind and the body. So you become weak, and you will not be able to say to a material desire, it's not my desire. You identify too strong with the mind. And that is what Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita. Udrat atmanam atmanam avasadyat atmeva yatmanam atmeva ripu atmanam. With the mind you can uplift yourself or degrade yourself. The mind can be your friend or your enemies. The mind is your friend when it's controlled, and it's your greatest enemy when it's uncontrolled. So if we don't follow these regulative principles, your mind is uncontrolled. Everyone is mad who does not follow these principles. It's controlled by material nature. And this is the way to become free. People say, oh, these Hare Krishnas, poor people, they cannot do what they want, they cannot drink, they can no sex, what's this? But they are free because they control their mind. They are not a slave of all these material desires. And that is what we can learn here from these rivers entering into the ocean. And what Dattatreya is teaching us. So we learned from this evening from the sun, from the moon, from the ocean, and Dattatreya, that we have also heard many good suggestions which can help us to develop spiritual qualities. That so, would you like to apply that in your life? What we heard? Any questions, comments? Yes.
Well, comment, one time I was with Srila Prabhupada disciple near to the ocean, actually in ocean front temple, and he was telling me that one devotee asked Srila Prabhupada why the devotees sometimes get mad and very angry, and Srila Prabhupada answered to the devotee that the devotee are like the ocean. On the surface, we're really agitated, but in deep, they're very peaceful.
Yeah, that is true. And I like this comment very well, very much. Like, I have that experience. I'm 35 years practicing Krishna consciousness movement by my best. And like 30 years ago, if someone would say something nasty to me, I would become agitated. And now, 35 years later, I'm still agitated. but for 5 seconds, then I let it go.
Thank you.
Before I could not do that. So that's the deepness. You are still agitated, but then you let it go. Like Arjuna heard the death of Abhimanyu, he was quite agitated. But next day he was fighting, was gone. So that's the depthness. Thank you. Something else? Otherwise, we can sing up here and I think.
Personal, I just wanted to comment, really like everything that you're saying is so soothing. It's so nice to hear, you know, how actually we have all of these examples around us in nature, all of these gurus like you were saying. And yeah, it's really, I really like how you were talking about this nature of the devotees and you know, this river is water rushing in, you know, to the ocean and not creating a disturbance. You know, this, we hear this in Bhagavad Gita in many places, but it's so nice to hear it again because we forget. I think it's one of those things you go through your day and like you said, you become agitated. And when we get together in the assembly of devotees, you know, we hear this again. And it becomes a real satisfaction to the soul to hear it. So thank you so much.
Good, thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Prabhupada.